ninjas! Welcome. Kneeckoh with my highly talented ninja skills. Why am I so obsessed with ninjas right now? Well, because ninjas is somewhat of the theme of today's review in Final Fantasy VII, but Final Fantasy VII doesn't have any ninjas. You're right! But the DLC does. It has one of the best ninjas in the game, the Ninja Yuffie. I'm talking about the Final Fantasy VII Remake Intermission Intergrade DLC episode Yuffie. My name is Rico Suave, and we are going to be going over to a brief, not too long a review over the DLC. The DLC is... I will say one thing I'm sad about is that the DLC isn't longer because it's really good. It's fun. It adds a lot. It adds a lot to the story and lore of FF7, which, if you don't already know, is just like any good Square Enix game. It's confusing as all hell and will melt your mind when you piece it together. So I'm gonna hop right in while I talk about the game a little bit. I don't know how much I don't know how long this will be, considering, like I said, it's not a long DLC, so I'll just touch over the brief talk. It's like, you know, combat, story, characters, all that good stuff. Yeah, so I decided to start off here for this review. So, where we are right now, if you've played the Final Fantasy VII Remake, you know there's the Shinra Combat Simulator. The DLC has its own separate combat simulator, but you don't get access to it till you've already beaten the game, sadly. But that's okay, because you kind of want to access it after you beat the game, because then you'll stand some semblance of a chance of the challenge ahead of you! But anyway, so where to start off with you know what, actually, we're going to do this. We are going to do this, because I think this will be a lot better. Because, just like with the main game, you can choose between chapters. So, we are going to start from chapter 1 and sort of go from there. So I will say, spoilers if you have not played it or just don't have access to a PS5, because that is one downside about this. This is a PS5 exclusive DLC. Oh, excuse me! So if you do not have a PS5, you sadly won't be able to access this DLC. And if you got Final Fantasy VII Remake, the PlayStation Plus free version, where they had it free, I think it was a couple months ago, you sadly won't be able to get the free upgrade for Final Fantasy VII Remake, which is a downside, though I kind of get it, but at the same time don't. Just like, you know, just let people play your game. Anyway, we're going to start from the... You know what, we'll just do hard. It'll start us from the beginning, so spoiler warning if you don't want to know anything about the DLC or the story to habits, because it'll go over some elements there. I obviously won't do the whole thing, because it's about 6 hours long to beat it all, and we don't have that kind of time, so let's go. So, where to go for Final Fantasy VII Intergrade? I guess it's good to let this play out while I sort of talk. Well, in this DLC, you play as the titular and hyperactive ninja Yuffie, as she descends upon Midgar on a mission for the Wutai government. What all that means, I don't know. Sadly, I never played the original FF7. I'm not 100% familiar with the lore and story. I just know bits and pieces here and there, but I'm sure as they come out with more games I'll learn more about it. So where to start off? The characters, there's not a whole lot of like new characters in this DLC. There's essentially, I was gonna say 2, but technically 4 new characters. 2 that you see in chapter 2, really. So, I'm actually going to turn this down a little bit, because it's kind of loud. I said that right into the mic, did you like that? But yeah, first I will start with the 2 new characters. Well, first one is obviously Yuffie. What's interesting about this DLC is that if it weren't for this, you wouldn't have met or played as Yuffie till probably the next entry in the FF7 remake or, you know, franchise that they're going for. Because if you guys don't know, the original FF7 is a singular game, but it takes place on several discs, essentially several games. That's how big it is, and that's essentially what they're doing here. So anyway, Yuffie's a character you wouldn't have met till much later down the line, but that's why they decided to do this DLC, which I think is pretty cool. You get to meet a character that's going to be a bit more prominent later on in the story, and so the whole story here is that it's kind of like a side story that goes along place. It takes place parallel with the main story right after the bombing run. Basically after they blew up the reactor. So this is a story that plays alongside... So, it doesn't play alongside the aftermath. It's just sort of like... It's a story that takes place on the side. Yeah. You know, you had your burger, you had your main meat, you had your full like main course right there for your meal, and then you got Yuffie over here with, you know, your nice salty but savory French fries, nice and crispy, just So we're gonna dive in a little bit here, not get too crazy, but yeah, so far the game, like, it run the PS5 version for this, and well, the PS5 only version for this, but also the PS5 version of FF7 Remake, because I've played a little bit of that since that came out, just makes the game a whole lot better. I mean, it's, lighting in video games. I love good lighting in video games. But as you can see how, like, gorgeous this is. Look at it. Just look at the sheer scale. Scale. And I think that's one thing that's really impressive. You got a game that looks as good as FF7 Remake, and you just somehow made it to look even better, basically. Now, let's see. Where to talk about the characters? Yuffie, she definitely has, like, a very... I really like her fight style or play style. It's just a very aggressive, essentially, like, hyperactive ninja with a pretty cool mechanic, I do might add. So I'll probably dive into a little bit here with combat. One of her mechanics is that she can actually toss her shuriken away, and then once you do, your square button turns into sort of like a distance attack, because you're casting ninjutsu on your weapon, which is definitely pretty... I really like that mechanic. It makes her, like, you can fight up close with her, but at the same time you can keep your distance, which I really think is a good touch, especially when some fights you don't really want to get too close to your enemy. But then you can also make her, you know, distance attack even better, because she has an ability called... Well, she can do elemental ninjutsu. You basically just pick a ninjutsu, and then it'll apply that sort of element to that, you know, distant fighting ninjutsu combo. Which is good for really capitalizing on enemies' weaknesses, instead of, you know, having to worry about trying to casting several different spells amongst 80 different enemies. So it adds a nice layer to the combat. And then, of course, there's a... You know, you got your normal material stuff like access and chakra, you know, some other stuff. But the abilities do get more interesting later on. Specifically these top two here, and I'll explain that in a second after I take care of these rodents. Burn, burn, get skewered, burn. So yeah, the story... Oh god, there's more. I was gonna start talking, there's more. That's how this game is. Oh yeah, I should also forget to mention that when you toss her shuriken away, you can press triangle again, and it just launches you to it, and you can bust out a crazy aerial combo, basically. But yeah, her gameplay is just, like, really aggressive, but that is not even the main meat of it. That's not the main meat of it, because, it introduces, like, I wouldn't call it a new mechanic, but I guess it's a mechanic that was in the original FF7, and it's kind of basically revised here, because the game is completely different from its original origins. So, we'll hop back into Chapter 2 right now, where I'll have, you know, my ninja buddy. Who's my ninja buddy? Well, you'll meet him here in a second. Yeah, who was I talking about? This good-looking sumbitch right here. And why do I say good-looking? Well, because it's kind of a rule of thumb that, you know, like, Square Enix, like, all their characters are just, oh, good-looking. Stoning's good-looking, Cloud's good-looking, Barrett's a fucking beefcake hunk. And then Tifa and Aerith, and then Yuffie, she's adorable. She's adorable. Why am I saying adorable? Because I think she's 16, so I'm gonna keep it at that. So anyway, what does Sonon add to the combat? Because unlike the original game, you don't actually control or play as Sonon. He basically just tags along for the ride and acts on his own. But that doesn't mean he doesn't bring a lot to the table. He actually does bring some good stuff to the table. And I'm gonna sort of show it off here in the combat simulator, instead of, you know, moving forward with the story and spoiling too much. So what does Sonon bring to the table? Well, obviously you can sort of command him like in other games. You know what? I'll just, you know, Sonon, take care of it. Just take care of it. Thank you. But so I'll get into a little bit of combat here, and then once I build up enough ATB, for all you that know what that is, I hate this pair, then I'll be able to show you what I mean. Okay, I built up enough ATB, so what can I do? Now, you may see above Sonon's name a little L2 button prompt there. So what does that do? Once I press it, we are now synergized. What does that mean? So what that means is that me and Sonon will basically sync up our attacks for pretty much double the damage. Which is pretty handy for doing just, once you stagger your enemy, just doing big damage and wiping them out quickly. Like when I cast my ninjutsu, he'll cast ninjutsu alongside me. When I attack an enemy, he'll focus them the exact same way. But that's not all. There's also certain abilities. What the fuck are you? Monster Hunter? Those of you who play Monster Hunter. Oh yeah, he's also an OG because, you know, he'll heal you when you're low on health. But also there's this. When you are synergized up with Shonen, you get synergized versions of your moves, basically. So, first I'll de-synergize, so... Ah! It's hitting me! Shonen! Shonen! Jesus Christ! Okay, well, we de-synergize for now. Ah! Not again! This game is sabotaging my review! I fucking hate it! For those of you who don't know, when you're in the Shinra combat simulators, you don't have access to items, and since I don't have any sort of revive materia on me right now, the only option is Phoenix Down items, and that's my only way to revive Shonen, but I can't revive Shonen because I can't use items, so I can't show off the thing I was trying to show off! Fuck me! Okay, now Shonon's back. Don't die on me again! Don't fuck this up, Shonen, you're on camera. That's not a good thing, Shonen. I need you to stay alive for me. Okay, we're gonna synergize now, and I'm gonna show the thing that I tried to show off earlier, which before Shonen fucking croaked. So as you saw Yuffie's earlier Art of War, it's just, you know, a bunch of big hit combos, but when you do synergized Art of War, you team up for maximum damage! But yeah, that's real nice. It's basically team-up attacks, which I guess was a thing in the original games, but in the first part of FF7 Remake, I guess you could call it, didn't have that, so hopefully in the future games they implement that. Like, I'm sort of taking all the stuff, that new stuff you see in the DLC as, you know, sort of clues as what's to come in the future installments. And that's just with gameplay mechanics. In terms of story, this could get very interesting. So, for basically the whole time of this FF7 Intergrade DLC, you play as Luffy and you team up with Shonen, and basically your mission is to break into the Shinra weapons facility and steal what is they're rumored to be working on, the ultimate materia. And you don't want Shinra to have that, so you're trying to get it off their hands so you can use it for yourself. But things don't quite go as planned, and this is where we get into some big spoiler territory. So what ends up happening is that, you know, Yuffie and Shonon, I keep calling him Shinon, it's Shonon. Shonon. But yeah, so basically what happens is, Yuffie and Shonon, they get basically jumped by this, I guess, you know, Shinra, sub... How would I describe it? It's like this sub, what's the word I'm looking for, where it's like, you know, it's part of the company, but they're at the same time they're not. I can't remember, but anyway. So basically, it's called Deep Ground, which is sort of like this secret, we'll call it a covert op. Yeah, secret covert op that Shinra's sort of been hiding that no one really knows about. Unless, of course, you played, not so much the original FF7, but maybe some of the spin-off games. I heard it, like, Deep Ground stuff is associated with the Dirge of Cerberus game. So, for any of you who have played that, then you know what I'm talking about. For everyone else, I don't know what to tell you. So, basically, you run into those goons, and there's a big spoiler alert here. You get jumped by a guy named Hades, who essentially controls the very thing that the entirety of Kingdom Hearts is based on, and that's darkness. And he utilizes that darkness to... He takes out my boy Shonon, and it's actually quite heartbreaking. But he doesn't... He takes him out, but it seems like he doesn't, in a way. I mean, Shonon does... He does die. He gets impaled with some... He gets impaled with some metal wings. Not the good, like, barbecue kind. No, no, no. These ones hurt when they go inside your body. But he does that, and then he, like, pulls him into, like, this sort of, like, black hole. Almost like he's saving Flare. So I'm thinking, like, in the future games, Shonon's gonna come back, but in a messed up way, sadly. And that's gonna be interesting to see how the story handles that. Will we run into Shonon as an enemy, but is it gonna be one of those instances, you know, kind of like Kingdom Hearts, where, like, my friend is now thy enemy, but I beat their ass, they've came to their senses, and now they're gonna join my party with new abilities. I feel like it's gonna be a case of that, which I'm not mad about. You know, it's fun. It's a fun way to reintroduce, you know, an old characters that you may have thought were gone at one point. So, like I said, the story is, like, very simple, but it adds a lot, especially when you actually beat it, because that's when the true meat of the story gets in. Which I honestly like, because it's not told through gameplay, it's told through cutscenes, essentially. And a lot of cutscenes basically start out, you know, after Sonon's death, Yuffie's running out crying, and then you see the plate fall. And then right after that, you see Yuffie sort of going on her journey to do what? Who knows? I think recruit people to her cause? I think that was what it was. But then after that, we go back to Cloud and crew, who are, you know, on their journey, just leaving Midgar. On the way to, I think the place is called Calm. I think that's that's the area that the next game's gonna start out in. So once you beat the game, it immediately sets up for what to expect in the next installment, which I'm good. It's just like Square Enix to dangle that little bit of a teaser in front of us, just like, god damn, we got more FF7, and then they just left us wanting more. But then it gets even crazier. For those of you who have beaten FF7 Remake, you may know this, but then we cut to a scene. Here, I'll pause this for a second. Then we cut to a scene with Zack at the church, alive! For those of you who know FF7, he shouldn't be alive! He never comes back to Midgar! He's alive! Which was kind of shown in, you know, towards the end of the original FF7, not the original, the main game, Jesus, I'm getting main game, God! Anyway, he's alive, when he shouldn't be. So basically, he's at the church to see Aerith. They kind of got a thing going on, so that's why he's there to see her. But then he goes into the church, and Aerith's not there. It's just a whole bunch of random people, you know, crying and, you know, like, all sad and stuff. And this is where two interesting things are theorized, which, it's just like Square Enix, I love them and I hate them for it, is to basically leave your own, basically have you go wild with theories and interpretations until we get for more games and more lore. The two theories is that, one, somehow the original timeline where Zack dies was altered to where he's alive now, and the reason Aerith's not there is because she's on her journey with Cloud and crew. The other theory is that he's in an alternate timeline where the reason everybody's all sad and stuff is because Aerith already died. Like, those are both crazy theories, and I don't know which one I want to see more and which one I'm scared to see. Which, that's the thing about Final Fantasy, you get attached to these characters in the story, and it scares you, but at the same time, you want more! And I think that's something this game and DLC does really well. It just makes you want more. Instead of answering your questions, it makes you ask 20 fucking more questions. It's like, okay, I don't have an answer for this. Instead, I just got a fucking exam of questions for you in front of me. So now we're just left wondering, what's the deal with Zack? What's Yuffie's, like, new mission or journey now? Is she still gonna be after the ultimate materia, or is she now gonna try and move on to something else? And how will her goals align with Cloud and Crew's, and will Zack even meet up with Cloud and Crew if they're in the same timeline and this is all... So like I said, this DLC sets up for a lot of things in the future that you can be both very excited about, and if you're a true fan of the series, very scared about. Scared in a good way, though, because this is definitely one of the more interesting, more anticipated, lores of Final Fantasy that I'm very much looking forward to getting into as we get more games, DLC, and stuff further on. Because I don't think they're doing any other DLC after this. I think this was just done as a way to sort of, one, introduce Yuffie a bit sooner than what you would have seen her if they followed along the original game's path, and two, basically get you more anticipated and hyped for what to see in future games, lore-wise, and possibly mechanics-wise. Because like I said, we got this synergized mechanic with Sonon in this game. Maybe that'll set up for more team attacks in the future, like some sort of team attack with Cloud and Barret, or Tifa and Barret, Cloud and Aerith. It can be anything, like maybe Aerith casts a spell on Cloud's sword and it's just engulfed in flames. There's a way you can technically do that, but more intense! So yeah, if you have a PS5 and you were able to upgrade to the PS5 version of FF7 Intermission, definitely get this DLC. Especially if one of you learn about some new characters that you're going to see in the future, and definitely know more lore about what to expect. Because like I said, Yuffie's honestly a great character. I love like her whole like somewhat innocent but at the same time hyperactive personality. She doesn't take things too seriously, which is in a way annoying, but at the same time that's sort of fixed when Shonan like dies right in front of her eyes. So hopefully that'll sort of force her to take things more seriously. Like this isn't a game anymore. Like, yeah, you're a great ninja, but this is bigger than ninjas. Sephiroth. So how would I grade this DLC? I'll definitely give it a 9. I do wish it was longer, but at the same time, you can't get too long with it. There's only like so far you can go, and you don't want to drag it out before it sort of gets confusing alongside the main story. Because, you know, what does Yuffie do after Shonan dies and her mission is basically a failure? Who knows? But, so even though the DLC is only 6 hours long, that doesn't mean there isn't replayability. Because like I said, you do unlock this, kind of like in the main game, you do unlock the Shinra Battle Combat Simulator after you beat it. So, and that's going to definitely, you know, if you want to get absolutely everything in the game, it's definitely something that you'll want to do. And you might even want to play through the game on hard mode to level yourself up a bit more, or maybe just grind out the first 2 stages of this combat simulator to up your character's levels and abilities. Because that third stage, you're going to need everything you want to beat that. So, oh yeah, and then I'll show you something else that you unlock after you beat the game, but it's for the main game this time. And it's also in their Shinra Combat Simulator, and it's exclusive to that. And I'll show you what it is in a second. First, I just gotta kill this big cat. He dead! Fodder to me! You are fodder! I realized this kind of did turn into more of an overview for the Intergrade DLC, but at the same time, it's like, I gotta cover all my bases. Like, you can't exactly get a review without at least knowing what the hell I'm talking about. Okay, so now I'm gonna go back over to the main game, because this game seamlessly does that. And we are right where we left off. So we're here in the Shinra Battle Combat Simulator in this game that you can access. And there's a reason why. Because after you beat the Intergrade DLC, you unlock a new fight that you can challenge right from the get-go. It's a 7-star fight. There's another 7-star fight in this combat simulator. Yes, I haven't beat all the combat sims. Not easy. Yeah, this one, you can't unlock it until you beat all those ones. I haven't done it yet. Sue me. Fuck you. But then there's this one. 3-person team versus the Immaculate One. And then this is one of the other new characters you sort of get introduced to in the Intergrade DLC. I hate him. I hate him so much. And I'm about to show you why, and it's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt. It's only available on hard difficulty. So we're just gonna keep it simple, because I'm definitely not gonna try, because there's no point in trying. And we're gonna go. Oh god. So this is one of the things you unlock after being the Intergrade DLC. You get to fight the data version of this guy Weiss. Or Weiss. Weiss. And he's, I don't know why I paused it, but I kinda want, so I can talk without having to focus about the ass kicking I'm about to get. He's also a part of this whole deep ground thing, and he is the brother of the guy who killed Shonan. And, you know, they're, you know, light and dark counterparts. He's all about the white, and Hades, he's all about the black. Got the black leotards and the black hair, but this guy has the white hair and the white trench coats, and he's gonna hurt me. It's a very difficult fight. I don't even last a minute. It's definitely something they expect you to possibly beat after you've poured a lot of time into, you know, leveling up your characters, definitely getting down pat how to organize your materia, who to bring for your fights, and everything. It's a nice, you know, something to look forward to after you beat the Intergrade DLC. It's just, it's so hard. It's so hard and so much. I can't take it. But yeah, overall, the Intergrade DLC, I really enjoy it, because, like I said, it introduces a Yuffie way sooner than what you would have seen, and she's a great character in her own right. Shonan, he's an OG. I didn't say much of it earlier, but Shonan's an OG. He definitely has that big brother feel. when paired with Yuffie, even in gameplay wise, because he has this one ability he'll use where if you die before him, he'll essentially take himself out and then give you whatever HP he had to you and basically revive you, which really helps prolong and last fights. It saved me plenty of times when playing through the Intergrade DLC, because obviously I didn't know how to manage abilities and stuff like that, and I'm not greatest at video games. I just really like them. Get off my ass. Drink break. What I drink? You'll never know. But yeah, like I said, Shonen, he's an OG. I really like the synergize mechanic in the game, and I hope it's something that they, put in future games and that you'll be able to use with Cloud's original party. We'll probably get to play as Red 13 also. And if you don't know who Red 13 is, he's sort of like the red dog with a fire tail, Pokemon looking guy. Yeah, that guy. But he could talk, like Meowth. So I guess he's like Meowth if he was a fire type. Yeah. And then, like, what it adds to the lore and what to expect in future games, it definitely has me excited for where this whole remake series is going to be going. And especially as someone who never played the original FF7, it just, even though you're able to now, I think you can buy like a remastered version on the PlayStation Store. I just never bought it just because it didn't seem like my type of thing. I do like RPGs, don't get me wrong. It's just I don't think I could have sat down and played that for who knows how long. Just this turn-based combat sometimes feels a little bit repetitive to me. There is a right way to do it. It just feels a little bit repetitive to me. But if you do enjoy turn-based combat, there is an option to sort of set that here in this game. There's a classic mode you can do where characters will act on their own, but you still command them to do different abilities, cast spells, all that good stuff. So if you're not someone who's a fan of the new FF7 or Final Fantasy style of like action RPG combat, you can at least with this, you can go back to the classic stuff where, characters do their own thing, but you still issue them commands and all that good stuff. Overall, this is a fine DLC. 6 hours long, it's not too long to beat. I do wish it was a little bit longer, but, with some of the side stuff you can do, and then the end game content with battle simulators, I think it's perfectly fine. You can, like I say, you can sort of grind out some of the easier battle simulators to do, level up your characters to take on the hard ones, which is a bit satisfying, especially if you want 100% this game. I don't think it's too hard to do. Typically, most action RPGs and stuff like that aren't the hardest to 100%. Well, I guess that depends on the action RPG. Like, without even trying, I'm at 50... Well, with the PS5 version, here's where it gets a little bit weird. With the PS5 version, I'm at like 45% complete. But with the PS4 version, I'm at around, I want to say like 59%, close to 60. I think that's because of the addition of like this fight in the main game, which, and I'll give you a little glimpse of at my own expense. I'm in danger. No. See? He hits so hard. And he just blocks! And here's what's annoying. You see all that reduced? He has great, like, yeah, I forget. Greater resistance to everything. All spells, physical attacks, distance attacks, everything. See, like, I'm almost dead. Cloud's almost dead already. There is definitely a way to fight him. It's not easy. You essentially got to time all your dodges to get an opening, which is a very tight window. See, that's the only way to build up pressure and try and stagger him, is by just timing your dodges. He shot me. That's not nice. Jesus! Yep, that's that. It's that quick. How long did I last? Tell me. How long did I last? Hey, 1 minute and 10 seconds! That's a new record for me! Ah! Oh yeah, like I said, that's a brutal fight. You definitely want to make sure, like, I know the reward you get for this fight, I know there's another one, or like a couple other ones you can get. And that's supposed to be like the best kind of equipment you can get in the game, so I forget how you get that, but definitely get it before trying this fight, because I heard it's definitely recommended. And overall, it's just a very difficult fight. Like, there's definitely strategies and stuff you can look up online to take it on. But even doing that, even if you look up, like, the best way to beat it, it's still not gonna be a walk in the park. He's so hyper aggressive, and there's such little time to dodge his attacks and then try and get your attacks in after, that's the big question, if you manage to dodge them at the right time and then get some hits in to build up pressure and essentially stagger him, because that's what you want to do in this game. So my final thoughts on the DLC, introduces some great new characters, even though if one of them gets but we might get him later, considering how it happened. He did essentially die, but then it looks like the guy who killed him sort of saved his body, so we're probably going to see him later on in some sort of deep ground, ungodly manifestation that just uses his body, and it's going to be traumatizing for everyone. The combat, it's just great. It's a more FF7 Remake combat, but now you got Yuffie introducing the new synergy mechanic, and then her new ninjutsu is also really handy, especially when you're able to implement elements into it and exploit weaknesses instead of having to worry about using up your MP and casting spells, which that would be nice if that's something they somehow introduce into the rest of the characters. There is a way you can sort of implement elements into their attacks with materia, but you can't seamlessly swap between different elements. You would have to do that between battles, basically. But overall, I would definitely check out this DLC. It's only, I think it was only $20. If you have FF7 Remake, a physical copy, or maybe you bought yourself it digitally, you can upgrade for free. You can upgrade if you got it for free during that 1 month of PlayStation Plus games. That one has not qualified for the free upgrade, so you would sadly have to essentially buy the whole game again, which does suck, but at the same time, it's the only way you'd be able to do it. But yeah, I think that covers pretty much everything about the game. Is there anything I missed? Oh yeah, so the Intergrade DLC, it does sort of, within the first chapter, has this almost mini game you can basically play, which is it offers you some materials, gil essentially, but it's called Fort Condor, and it's in the world of FF7, it's this little board game thing, which is really interesting. You got energy bars that you build up, and depending on how many you build up, you send out a unit to try and take out one of 3 enemy bases that also fire back, and it's one of those nice lighthearted minigame touches, because you got some minigames in FF7 Remake, with the the gym portion when you're in, I forget the name of the town, it's been a while since I played through the whole game, but you know what I'm talking about, the gym, and then you get into pull-up contests, squat contests, stuff like that with some gym bros. But yeah, overall, Intergrade DLC is really fantastic. The combat's just as fun as the main game, along with some new mechanics, like the synergy stuff, and Yuffie's ninjutsu. I can't wait to see more of Yuffie in the future games. It'll be real fun to see her fight alongside, Cloud, Tifa, Yuffie. It'd also just be fun just to see those characters interact. That's the thing about Final Fantasy games. It's just fun seeing characters talk and interact with each other, or meet for the first time. So it'll definitely be fun to see Yuffie eventually get into that group. So yeah, that is pretty much all I have to cover about this DLC. Yeah, that's basically everything. Like I said, not a whole lot to talk about, even though I don't even know how long I've been talking for. I think it's been not quite an hour, maybe close to an hour, who knows. And right after this, I'm going to be about to record some first impressions on another anime-esque game. Yeah, that's right, Final Fantasy VII is all anime as hell. Look at that hair, don't tell me it's not anime. First impressions on Scarlet Nexus. So that's going to be coming soon, so keep an eye out for that. And I've been seeing it get good reviews, so I'm really excited to hop in and play that. But other than that, that's all I got. My name is Rico Suave. Thank you for entering the chat here with me here at Enter the Chat. Make sure you go down and subscribe and hit that like button and let us know what you think, because we're always open to suggestions on other stuff to cover, maybe other videos you want to see, or just overall feedback on what you think of how we're doing. Me, Kneeckoh, and Toby. But that's all I got for you guys. So enjoy the rest of your day. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.